Maestro got one.
Recording in progress.
Yo, what's good? What's good, everybody? I'm your boy Trey Frazier. I got my brother Maestro Styles here with me today.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, folks. It's another episode of the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Check us out live right now on our Twitter handle at Barbershop SPOR2. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel as we're live there right now. Also, you can follow us on the Facebook page by clicking the like button. And you can follow us on our Instagram also at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Maestro, another week, man. Another dollar.
Yes,
What's good?
Yes, ain't nothing, man. You got a whole dollar this week. That's nice, man.
Yeah. It's been rough. It's been a rough one, but we here. We here now.
Yeah, man. I mean, real quick, man, it's been on my mind. I just found out on Twitter that this is the anniversary of Commons Like Water for Chocolate, man. So I just want to say congrats and shout out to Common and shout out to Jay Dilla and shout out to the Soul Quarians.
Oh, yeah. That's what's up. Yeah, I saw that on Twitter, too. You said 20th year anniversary?
Came out it's 23 years.
23.
It's not necessarily an anniversary. Yeah, it came out in 2000, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, I remember you posting something about that maybe like a year or two ago. And I was like, you know what? Because back then I wasn't really big on Common. I said, you know what? Let me check these tracks out. And there's one track on there that I do like, and I think it's the one that's got the Bilal feature on it.
The Sixth Sense? I mean, Bilal's all over that album, so that's kind of a tough.
Okay.
You're probably talking about the Sixth Sense. That's the Pop of the Primo joint?
No, not that one. I do like that one though. I do like
Okay.
that one. I'm gonna find the name of the track for you. It's in my phone, but every now and then I pop that joint on.
You probably talking about Funky For You then.
No, Aphrodisiac. I just remember the name of it.
Aphrodisiac.
I just remember the name of it. Yep.
Aphrodisiac.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, it's hard to ask me. I listen to that album, like I'm literally listening to it right now as we're talking. You know, like it's the front to back to me. Only criticism I have is on the album. They have Ghetto Heaven Part 2 is with D'Angelo. And I guess at some point when the single was released, they remixed it and put Macy Gray on it. And I like the D'Angelo version better. But
Right. Okay. Yeah. Shout out Common. Shout out that album.
Yeah,
23 years in the making.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of music, yesterday with the news was just like crazy with the Lamar stuff, and we'll talk about that later. But did you know Pras from the Fugees is on trial for some
I don't know
federal
what's going on. I don't know what's going on, so I refuse to speak on it because Pras was in the refugee camp, and I refuse to believe that he did any of that shit without me even knowing what he did.
Without knowing what he did, you just like free
Free
Proswell.
Free. You know how youngest now be like free whoever, whatever rapper, and even though the nigga really did it, nah, that's how I feel right now. I don't care what happened. Leave Pras alone. Leave Pras alone.
I haven't dug too deep into it. I saw the headline, and the words that I saw in the headline was something to do with China and something to do with the Trump administration.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough. I'm not smart enough.
I said this is some wild stuff. I think the wild thing for me is that it's a federal trial and it's not like, you know, something, you know, that's on a civil level. This is, you know, feds involved here. So, you know, prayers to the homie and hope everything, you know, work out in his favor.
Whatever
that is. We got a great show, man. Special guests coming through in a couple minutes. For everybody that's in the DMV, you've seen her, you know, ripping and running around. She is all over these sporting events, and I think she just came back from Vegas also doing an event as well. Kelsey Nicole Nelson does Bally Sports, Fox Sports Radio, you know, in the area here, and all kinds of other stuff that she's, you know, getting her hands on.
Peacock and
she was on Brother from Another. Yeah, she was just on there last week. I checked her out with NFL chick on there too. So we're gonna, you know, holler at her, and, you know, be a couple minutes from now she'll be on here to, you know, talk about her journey and talk about you know, she's a, you know, Terps fan, so she went to the university and all that stuff. I know the Lady Terps had a NCAA run in the tourney, but they lost to Dawn Staley. Shout out Dawn Staley.
For sure.
That's a tough team to beat right now. And speaking of which, they're going up against Iowa with what's her name in a few days. The girl that they talking about is the next like the Steph Curry of women's basketball.
I don't know who that is. In Iowa. Yeah.
She plays for Iowa. Like she dropped 40 and 10 like just the other night in the in the Elite 8. Yeah, like
shout
she's
out to her.
She's like one of them real ones for real. And well, I know you know who Angel Reese is too. With LSU. Yeah, she's really good too. She's really good too, man. So hey man, I guess everything's on the table, man. I wanted to get into the Lamar stuff, but
we can bring it back up. But I ain't trying to talk about nothing else. We could get her opinion.
I'm trying. Okay.
Yeah, I want to talk to Lamar Jackson.
Oh, okay. I'm sure you do.
I do.
I'm sure you do.
Man,
sure you do. Go ahead, man.
You go ahead. You go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts. And I know I know it's going to be some kind of like. I would imagine that nothing has really changed as far as what you think about what's going on. Obviously, he came out yesterday saying that he requested a trade.
March 2nd.
Right.
Yep.
On March 2nd, while John Harbaugh was giving his
it was at the owners' meetings in Arizona.
So did the AFC side that day, and I mean, damn near the second he went on to start giving his presser, the news came out on Twitter. Of course, they was all on his ass about what was going on.
And caught him off guard.
Yeah, I'm way more intrigued at what you think about Lamar Jackson's timing, and I guess the overall perspective of him requesting a trade and why they kept it quiet.
It's a good question, man, on why they kind of kept it quiet. Well, for the record, I still am of the opinion that they're still gonna find a way to get this deal done. What Lamar Jackson put in the tweet was, to me, just a part of the negotiating portion of this. I think also the other thing is that we've gone through 2 weeks already, right? Since the non-exclusive tag has been placed on him. Yeah. And we've gone through 2 weeks, and then we've talked about it. We talked about it with the teams that, the Falcons, Panthers, the Commanders, and we'll talk about them in a bit. We talked about all those teams being involved, and then they kind of back out and say, "Hey, we don't want to deal with Lamar Jackson." So I'm gonna cut it short right here. We're gonna bring the Lamar conversation back into the fray, because we definitely want to get Miss Kelsey Nicole Nelson, who is here with us right now. If you're in the DMV, folks, you've seen this face all over the place, from Wizards games to the Garcia Davis fight to she's out in Vegas doing her thing, and the resume is, let me tell you, Kelsey, the resume you have is just crazy right now. So
Humble.
So first off, welcome to the platform.
Thank you for having me, fellas. I truly appreciate it.
No doubt. How's everything? How was the Vegas trip?
Busy. I'm probably gonna have bags under my eyes because I feel like I have been running around like crazy. Vegas is always fun. Let's be honest. You can't have a bad time in Las Vegas, but Vegas, everything happening. Of course, March Madness, the fight, like it was the perfect time. I was also doing some work from an education side, so it was fun. It was good. So I'm a bi-coastal girl now. I'm loving it.
How do you do it?
Yeah, I didn't even mention president of the WABJ.
Vice president.
Vice president. I'm sorry. Vice president. Yes. You just signed up with MLBBro.com, and shout out to JR Gamble, because we had JR on the platform last year. So that's cool. That's cool. So and I guess Maestro was about to ask the question about how do you balance all these parts to your resume? Like how do you deal with that, with all the titles that you have?
My gosh, everybody asks me this, and honestly, I'm still trying to figure out, but I think my time management skills are just, I've always been active. Like if you talk to my parents, like I always was a multi-sport athlete. I was always in a leadership position of clubs. Like, so I guess I've always been active. So this is really my norm. It's like now when I get awards and things, my parents are like, oh yeah, we'll come to something else in the future. Cause they're like, Kelsey, you've done this your whole life. Like this is what you've always been doing. But I mean, if you can't tell by now though, I'm high energy. Like I think I'm not used to just like sitting and not doing anything. My body is always moving. I talk fast. Like everything's always moving, like momentum for me. So I think for me, honestly, it's just me keeping up with what my body wants to do. And I think that's why I love sports, right? Like it's never a dull day in sports. I always share that. Literally always something. And I think people forget like sports touches so many different, facets. So for me, I've gone from just, doing TV reporting and radio reporting to now, having the opportunity to be on so many platforms, hosting different sporting philanthropy events, which has been just an honor, for me, just because, where I come from, I remember like going to these events, sitting in the back of the room, shy and nervous, and now being like on the stage and bringing people together. It just means so much. But honestly, I think what fills me is like when you're passionate about something, you're going to put everything into it. And for me, I'm a perfectionist. Like I love what I do. I never take this opportunity for granted. So each and every day, that's what I feed off of. Like, how can I be better, than the next day? I don't take anybody that follows me for granted because they're trusting me. They're trusting me to come out, put information out. So for me, I think I carry that. And I'm always like, well, how can I continue to just give them content, feed them content, and for them to want more? And so I think that's what it is. Just wanting to make sure I'm good to my people because my people have been good to me.
So when your love for sports started, when did your love for sports start? Was it always sports?
Always sports. I was a daddy's girl very quickly. My mom still feels a way about that. Love you too, Mom.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up in a sports family. So most people know this, but I grew up in the DMV. I spent my summers in Jackson, Mississippi, and my family's also from New Orleans. So down south, it's church and football. Like it's church and football. I know the Bible verses, but I know every football play. So I think that's what I grew up with. You know, and coming back here in the DC area too, you know, you guys probably remember it was better times before, folks. I promise you. Yeah. Georgetown basketball was at a high.
Absolutely.
Maryland basketball. Maryland's somewhat back, but you know, Maryland basketball was at a high. So growing up also in this area, you know, it was just special to be around, you know, just the great sports teams and the atmosphere. I remember when Wizards games, you know, were the place to be when Big Tigger would be on the it was a party when we used to go you know, to games. And so that was always what excited me, what fueled me. We used to get free tickets to go to games, my family, through Plum Guard Community Center in Germantown, Maryland, or the Boys and Girls that I went to in Germantown. So, you know, I just always wanted to be around the game. Then I was an athlete. I was taller than the boys, you know, till 8th grade hit and all of them hit puberty. But, you know, when you're tall, people always pull you into sports. And so I was always pulled into, I mean, I've done everything from tennis to soccer, basketball, volleyball, you name it. I probably played it. But that was just me. I always loved being an active, naturally competitive person. So I think sports has just always been the go-to for me. And I'll be honest too, like news, it just never did it for me. I have, I think, like a Southern West Coast personality. I can't talk all the time about like death, destruction, and the bad things because I think it's a lot. It's a lot on your mental health. And not to say that sports doesn't touch that too. I think but you know, with sports, I can bring more of my personality into things. And it's usually more fun, right? It's usually more fun. You can kind of, you know, say your opinion in a way that you can't do, I think, in other kind of, well, maybe now more so people are starting to voice their opinions, but a lot of the other mediums, you're not able to do that as much. So I think sports too just always fitted my personality.
So Clarksburg, Maryland, that's the hometown, right?
Yeah. So Clarksburg, Germantown, I rep. Shout out to Montgomery County. Yeah. If you don't know Clarksburg, go find it. We're not too far. Everyone's like,
I used to live out there.
The boonies. So you understand. Everyone's like, you're in the boonies. I'm like, no, it's right before the boonies. Frederick is the boonies. Clarksburg, you're still good. You're still on 270. Your windows are still down. Nothing crazy flying in the car. You're good.
So I bring that up because I work for a company that bid on Dominique Dawes' new gym.
Hill's Gym. I used to go there.
Special
memories.
Shout out to Dominique Dawes.
I'm gonna say shout out to all my folks out Quince Orchard while we talking about Montgomery County.
Here he go, Mo County, Mo County.
Anything. I've heard how Clarksburg has been doing in football lately, and I've heard I can't brag on anything. But shout out to Quince Orchard, honestly, for just being a standard in MoCo sports. Like I've always had to defend Montgomery County sports. I went to Maryland, so lots of PG and Baltimore folks. But I always remind people there's a lot of greatness that comes. Right next to me in Gaithersburg, the Diggs brothers are from. Used to lead for the Montgomery Village Chiefs, who they play for. I mean, there's a lot of talented folks, you know, from Montgomery County. The Montgomery County Sports Hall of Fame just started for that reason. I don't think people realize. I mean, it's the whole DMV, but Montgomery County has a lot of athletes. Remember where Kevin Durant played ball? Montrose Christian, right?
Montrose Christian,
Let's remember, MoCo, he had some time in MoCo, folks. We can claim him too, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
No doubt.
Yes.
Go ahead,
so
Maestro.
I want to get straight into it because we was there, but I want to get straight to it.
I'm passionate about my hometown, fellas. And I heard Clarksburg. I like perked up because
absolutely get that off.
Of course, of course.
I hope the same energy is for Lamar Jackson. I hope
for sure. I'm a Maryland girl, so Lamar, that news I take it to heart.
I'll ask you the question that I was going to ask Trey. So obviously, he put a tweet out saying that he requested a trade on March 2nd. Literally almost simultaneously with John Harbaugh doing his presser. My question is why do you think it was hidden? Why was it not reported the day it happened?
Oh, I can answer this question. So the Baltimore Ravens, they've been a class act organization. Like they really are a standard when it comes to how football organizations should be run from top down. So from Steve Biscotti, the owner, to the bottom. And if you remember, really the only blip the Baltimore Ravens organization probably ever has had. You know, some people might go back to the Ray Lewis stuff, but I wouldn't even say that. I'd say probably the Ray Rice situation. I think Baltimore, I remember being in Baltimore. You know, I'll not forget the line they had, you know, to turn in your Ray Rice jersey. I mean, And then just how the video came out and I thought the organization was hidden. But I bring that up to say that was probably the only blip where Baltimore really got criticized. You know, you're talking about an organization with a head coach who, John Harbaugh, now one of the longer tenured, right, head coaches in football. You know, people have respect for the Harbaugh family in general. And you just don't hear things bad coming out of Baltimore, you know. I remember the Earl story was a bit crazy too, but not necessarily fully Baltimore.
Oh, the Earl Thomas. Thomas.
But that wasn't fully Baltimore. You know, he was doing some extracurricular activities.
Absolutely.
But I think it came out because Baltimore really, I think they really have been. If you play cards, they don't want to show their hand, right? They don't want to show their hand. They've wanted to keep it in house, and I really do think they were hoping to get something done with Lamar. And if you know Lamar Jackson, you guys probably see this now, but he's not the loudest guy. You know, he's not the loudest guy, more private about his family life. You know, I remember when everybody found out he had a daughter, they're like, oh my God, what? Lamar has a daughter? Because very private guy. So I think when it came out, Baltimore, you know, and John Harbaugh's doing what every coach should do, right? You have to kind of play it down. He couldn't freak out at the
right? What's he gonna say? Oh, we're gonna trade him.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
So he did what he was supposed to do. But I think Lamar honestly saw it as an opportunity and chance to say, you know what, I've had enough of just covering this up. I really just want to put it out there. You know, July 17th, which is by the way my birthday. So shout out to me getting that last day that Lamar has, you know, to make the decision.
Well, I hope you don't.
Hopefully, you have a great birthday. Hopefully, you have a great birthday.
Lamar. Don't mess it up, all right? But I think even more so, you know, I think Lamar is actually saying though, like, I think he wanted to just put it out there though now, like my ties are severed. With Baltimore, because before I think people just thought, that's a little bit of a disagreement, you know, they'll mush it up, you know, like they'll be good. But I think that really put it out there, like, nah, this relationship is in trouble, like this is in jeopardy. And I think Lamar I think he took opportunity of perfect timing, honestly. You know, the video he had put out earlier about his company, like, I think he's a marketing genius, honestly. I think Lamar has tried to play this in the best way, but I also think Lamar has to put everything on the table right now because, as you guys know, there's really no traction for anybody getting Lamar right now. And so it's like when you're desperate, what do? You put everything out there and just try to hope something sticks, something catches on. And so I think that's kind of what the situation, you know, that we're seeing play out. But Baltimore, they're still going to remain calm and steady. We all have that calm and steady friend that like never, you know, shows emotion. And that's what the Baltimore Ravens organization, I think, is going to continue to do because they can't freak out. Because if they do, it's going to show worry, and then that gives Lamar an upper hand. Because if they show worry, because if you think about it, I mean, who's going to be quarterback, right, for Baltimore? Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley, right, free agent. And I'm Snoop. We're still mad at you.
Don't. Hey, you better not say Pro Bowl Snoop either, man.
Pro Bowl Snoop.
He did get the Pro Bowl. So look, we're still mad at Snoop for trying to be Superman over that pile. Ravens should have been Bengals, but I won't go back to that. But still, Baltimore's going to be in jeopardy because again, Baltimore's trying to, you know, reestablish itself, and Lamar is a big piece of that puzzle. I said this. I think the only other piece that might have worked in Baltimore potentially, he's not the same as, you know, Lamar, but I thought Derek Carr might have been the other piece that might have been somewhere. For Baltimore, but obviously he's off the board now, right? He's hoodatting in New Orleans right now, you know. So Baltimore, I think, is in a really murky spot with Lamar, but again, they're going to play it calm, cool, and collected. But I will say this is going to be a big test on Eric DeCosta as a general manager if he messes up and gets wrong, because the Ozzie Newsome era is over as general manager.
Now, see, I feel like I should have brung my terrible towel and put it behind me somewhere.
Oh, you're a Steelers fan?
I am absolutely.
Go ahead.
Because, honey, your birthday about to be.
Oh, don't do that. Come on. My birthday's a holiday. I can't have no bad birthdays.
I will say this though. This looks bad, and even as a Steelers fan, a blind man can see that Lamar Jackson should be paid and should have been paid a couple years ago. But I ain't gonna put that on you. I won't even put that on you.
No, but he should have been. They had the opportunity. This has been dragging out for years. Obviously, getting more in the spotlight in media now. But Baltimore did have the opportunity. And let's be honest, the quarterback market changed, whether you liked it or not.
Absolutely.
Right,
and I understand, you know, teams not wanting to go towards that. But Lamar should also not have to lessen himself. You know, because
absolutely.
You protect yourself as a player. You see players get hurt left and right. So if the man wants to be paid and the proof is in the pudding, he has an MVP, unanimous, by the way.
Absolutely.
You know, he has the Pro Bowls. You know, why not pay this? And if you think about it, you know, short of injury, Lamar probably would have a lot more stats if you think about the past two seasons.
Past 2 seasons,
No doubt. Yeah, Kelsey, I think you and I are on the same page. So for me, I believe him coming out with the tweet yesterday was part of the negotiation. It's a tactic,
Right.
and it was calculated too, because I saw the Ravens Twitter account promote John Harbaugh's interview later that morning, and then right before he gets on, here comes Lamar with the tweet. So it's calculated. The other thing for me too is that these teams, and it's so wild to me, particularly the Commanders, and I know you got a lot on the Commanders too. We could talk about them too, but you can't tell me.
Shout out Magic.
You can't tell me. You can't tell me that y'all like going with Sam Howell. Like you can't tell me. You can't tell me that.
You can't jump like that.
No. But first, we got to clear up y'all, because I'm a Maryland girl. Like, I cover the Commanders, and I love my Commanders fans, but I'm a Baltimore girl through and through for sports teams. All that to say, though, and I'm glad you're saying this, because this is what I've been saying too. Nothing against Sam Howell, but I've seen too small of a product size for me to get hype on Sam Howell. Yes, he was great in college. College is a different ball game, though. Like, let's be honest, we've seen a lot of players that were great in college that didn't transition over.
Absolutely.
Well.
Absolutely.
We're looking at a competitive NFC East now, and Sam Howell, he played great in a preseason game. Whoop-de-doo, that's great. It's preseason. We know players aren't playing at their full.
Right.
And then in the last game, again, decent game, right? But to be fair, fans were just excited about Sam Howell because they were just still disgusted at what Carson Wentz did.
Right.
They just needed something. They needed a good taste. When you eat something, you try to get it out, and Sam Howell happened to be that. I think in Washington too, for me, I'm not big on just throwing, a young guy in and just believing he's gonna. I think he's gonna take time. I think he's gonna take time. Now, Washington, one of the things they did do, I think that will help Sam Howell, was they started to address their offensive line issues that they had last season. I think that's important, right? Because let's be honest, folks were getting on Carson Wentz, but he wasn't playing behind a good offensive line, and there's only so much things you can do when you feel pressured every day and you're on your back. During the game, not blaming the offensive line.
Yeah, because he was still trash.
I was gonna say,
but I'm with you. I'm with you. He was definitely trash.
But he's not a scrambling quarterback either, right? Like, he wasn't going to scramble like a Taylor Heineke when the pressure. That's not his game. But I say all that to say, I think even bigger than Sam Howell is Eric Bieniemy ready to bet his next phase of his career
on that quarterback. Absolutely.
Because essentially you come to Washington, you leave a Patrick Mahomes, a great, and you go to a project, because that's what Sam Howell is. Now, Sam Howell might blow my mind. Maybe he'll become a Brock Purdy type. I don't know. But we also know Brock Purdy is an anomaly.
Yeah.
In football. So I'm not hype on that. I'm somebody that I need to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
But I also think Washington, but I will say Washington, I think fans are excited about Sam Howell because Washington has tried to go the veteran route, and it just hasn't panned out well for Washington.
That's fair.
But also, you think about it, at one point, may he rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins was supposed to be the future. Of this team.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Hometown guy, had the size, had the college stats, but unfortunately, that didn't work out. So Washington, and this is a team that's gone through a quarterback carousel, right, for the last 2 decades. They've just been winding. It's just been hard for them to find that guy. That's why fans are hype about. I know the Commanders already said, no, we're not in on Lamar Jackson sweepstakes, but fans are hype on that because the last quarterback that actually excited people here was RG3.
I was about the
RG3 mania. I have never seen anything like that in Washington, D.C.
And they ruined them. Yep.
We're not going to talk about that field.
His rookie year. They ruined him.
So fans are waiting for that. But I think Sam Howell, it's good to see that he is liked. I think fans were really hurt by Taylor Heineke going because, I call him a blue-collar quarterback. He gave his all. He gave you what you had in him. But that's what Washington wants, someone that will fight till the end. But let's be honest, Washington, you have Terry McLaurin, one of the best receivers right now.
Absolutely.
In football, Jahan Doxson. And I went to Maryland. So for me, going on a Penn State guy, that says a lot. But, a young guy that's promising, and even just your backfield that's, just so dynamic. Brian Robinson, his story is incredible. Dual threat, right? I think there's just so many promising things for Washington, but I say all that to say the quarterback position is going to be
the issue,
piece, right? You can't have all these other pieces if you don't have the glue to make it stick together. So I think we'll see how Sam Howell does, but Jacoby Brissett was brought in for a reason, and I say watch Washington in the draft. I just say watch. I know they're not going to get one of these top quarterbacks, but watch Washington in the draft because I think they know they have some work to do.
Issues. I'm glad you brought up Jacoby Brissett because cool. But he ain't no difference maker. Like,
He's a safety. He's a safety.
Right, he's a safety net, but he's a safety net to be mid. And I think Washington fans are a little tired of the mid. And they got, I mean, I'm sure you've been here, so I'm sure you know the discrepancy between Dallas fans and Washington fans. So they're tired of being mid when they got to deal with Dallas fans all season who are achieving. And now with Philly fans coming around, and even Giants fans to a small degree, Washington is looking a little crazy.
And not even small degree last year with the Giants.
Yeah,
we saw what they did last year.
Right. Yeah.
That way. Yeah. So it's I hope better for them, but it seems like it's just going to be another one of them years where they're going to talk a whole bunch of trash, and by week 6, they're a little distraught, man. But I do hope the best for Sam Howell. What I've heard is they don't like him. He's too short. That's what I've heard.
But that's the thing too. So I mean, you have to remember, quarterbacks, right? The conversation we're having right now, with the draft, right?
Yeah.
And let's be honest. I mean, you like a big quarterback. I mean, Lamar is, for instance, we just talked about Lamar. Lamar is a big guy. He's skinnier than most people want, but he's tall, right? But he also buffed up before last season, to play. But I think it's about Sam Howell too. And you have to remember, folks, when you're playing football, you got to look over these offensive linemen. You got arms in the air, right? I mean, it's kind of the conversation. I think the same conversation folks are having in Chicago about Justin Fields,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think the dogs got excited about our quarterback conversation.
But shout out to the dogs.
But I will say for the Commanders, I do think this ownership does play a piece, because I think this is a Washington team that has just been under so much scrutiny. And these players, props to them for being able to block out some of this crazy noise, right, that they've had to deal with. But I think there's something new in the air. Like, if the sale goes through, especially if we get a guy like Magic in the ownership group.
Yeah,
I think it's not going to play
$6 billion bid just got put in earlier today. Yeah.
You're looking in the owner's box and Magic's giving you a nod, one of the greatest to ever do it. That might make you feel the way. I know he's probably not, but if that has to go through. But I just think leaves are turning, times are turning. And then I also think, let's go back to Ron Rivera. This is a very crucial year for him too. If you look
absolutely,
he needs a winning season.
Yeah.
He needs a winning season. If we have
he needs to know their playoff seating next time around.
So I just think a lot of guys are going to have, I talked about Eric Bieniemy, Ron Rivera, I think a lot of people are going to have their jobs on the line. So I think this quarterback position, again, you just have to get right. Last year, I thought Ron Rivera took a bullet for Carson Wentz. I'll never forget the end of that Bears primetime game when he looked at the media and said, I'm the one that brought Carson Wentz here, not Dan Snyder. And I think when he did that, though, he put a big target on his back. Because he brought this guy here, but what is he doing for the team, right? I mean, and if you guys remember that Bears, that was a rough game to watch. I mean, it was
I remember that game.
I think it was 99 yards of offense.
It was terrible.
Like, it was bad.
So what was the ideology so I forget what week it was, week 17, they're playing the Browns, they're coming off of playing the Niners. Nobody thought they were beating the Niners. Heineke was expected to have the game he had, and they're like, okay, it's a playoff spot on the line. Let's pull Heineke out the lineup and put Carson Wentz in. And as we all know, they crapped the bed.
Yeah, so this is still a sore spot for many. Because, I mean, literally the Commanders had one job. One job. Win the game. One job. Doesn't have to be pretty. Just win the game, right?
Yeah.
That's all I wanted you to do. And then you lose to a team that had nothing on the line. Oh, and by the way, giving Deshaun Watson one of his better games of last.
Yeah, literally.
And so all that to say, I think Ron Rivera, I think in his mind, he went back to saying, like, I think he does have a relationship and a trust with Carson Wentz. Like, he's been here before. I think Taylor Heineke has always had to prove himself in Washington, and like, it's never been enough, right? It's kind of like that child. You keep trying to do all these things for your parents to be proud of you, but they never give you that nod of approval.
And then he left him. He said, I'm sick of you.
And he's like, A-Town, what is it? A-Town down?
So
they
still say that?
Maybe I'm
I don't know.
Don't judge me.
I don't know.
No judgment.
I don't know.
I don't go out enough anymore, so you have to hit me. You guys are working too much. It leaves me out the loop. But I say that I think Ron Rivera, I really do believe that he thought Carson Wentz, I think he saw what Carson Wentz was going through. Carson Wentz had to work his way back from injury. And I really do think he wanted to give him a chance. Because let's remember, that was probably Carson Wentz's last chance to prove himself as a starting quarterback.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Ron Rivera in his mind probably thought, with all this pressure on the line, he's a veteran quarterback. I think he really thought he could handle it. I think that's why we saw after the mistakes, he was still in the game. Obviously, fans questioning that decision, but I think that's really what was in his mind. But then, of course, the press conference after didn't help Ron Rivera when you're like, oh, a playoff spot on the line? Like, come on. Come on, coach.
You couldn't even act like you knew, and I don't know. Right. I think he got Scott Turner, and not that Scott Turner deserved to keep his job, but I mean, I think he kind of scapegoated Scott Turner, man. I feel like he kind of scapegoated him. I don't know, man.
It was so messy. It was bad because again, they had one job. You're at home, like you have one job to do, and you're not able
beat the Browns.
Beat the Browns, and the whole division goes to the postseason. Storybook ending, right?
Yeah, right. Two of the biggest,
at least for Washington fans.
Two of the biggest games in Carson Wentz's career, he wet the bed.
2 years in a row.
Yep.
2 years.
To be fair though, for the Colts, I do think Carson Wentz was better on the Colts than folks give him credit for. Like, I mean, what he was able to do, and I'm not giving him all the praise.
Sure.
But I also think everybody puts the blame on him, and it was not fully him.
The numbers were good. They were okay. Yeah. They were okay. But again, it's the moments when you need a playoff spot. You got to win that game.
So you understand that when we're talking about Carson Wentz, but when I talk about Devin Booker at a top 10, you don't know what I'm talking about.
Devin Booker went to the finals.
Devin Booker crapped the bed in a game 7 where he should have beat Luka Doncic.
Devin Booker was in the finals. Carson Wentz never made a Super Bowl. Never made the playoffs, for that matter. Hasn't played in a playoff game.
I mean, if I say that, he definitely won 10, 11 games that year when Nick Foles had to come in, though.
Sure.
He did. He deserves credit for that, too.
Sure.
And Nick Foles probably would not have done that.
And he wasn't
Look
the
at where
same.
Nick Foles is now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy when you think about, where the guys are from that team.
Yeah. But back to the Ravens, though, just to kind of put a button on the Lamar
Because I don't feel like I twisted the knife enough on. I don't care about you right now. Kelsey, no, I'm going to cut you up. I'm gonna let you know so you know, and so the lines of communication are forever there. If they lose Lamar Jackson, this has to go down as one of the worst in the office. I am coming with hell and brimstone, and I am trying to eat the Baltimore Ravens front office. I can't wait. I got drafts of tweets saved in my phone. I am going on a tirade if they let this dude go.
Look, they can't wait.
That's how Baltimore feels, though. I mean, Baltimore has something special. Let's be honest. I mean, Action Jackson, right? His nickname. He is must-watch TV. Mm-hmm. Even like Baltimore Ravens, you wanted to watch Lamar Jackson. The networks would always be prepared to cut a Lamar Jackson highlight because you didn't know what this man was going to do, on the football field. But even more so, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember that there was a video of a young boy that went up and hugged Lamar Jackson. He was so excited. This video went viral. So even beyond just the football field, I mean, people love Lamar, a nice guy, right? I mean, he gets Kodak Black out to games. Like, this is Lamar Jackson that fans love, and like he's in the community, just does a lot. And again, a humble guy, I would say, by most people's standards. Because he's not a big talker, right? He's not speaking for itself. I mean, he started the Big Truz thing, right, in Baltimore that we all love, so much.
I don't love it.
Look, when you a quarterback in the city and you show up at Patapsco Flea Market.
I've been saying that. And if you've been to Patapsco Flea Market, not everybody goes there. So if you go
right.
You're a real one. You're a real one.
Yeah. When you show up there, you were part of Baltimore, right?
It's special. And so that's what I think makes Lamar so special. Like, I mean, Lamar really is that guy that, everybody can see themselves in. I think even just his journey and story, always being an underdog. And if you think about Baltimore as a city, I think he represents what so many folks in Baltimore feel like, a guy that's kind of always just had to prove himself, to be seen. And I think he really represents some of the best of Baltimore. And so now all of a sudden, and let's be honest, the number 8 jersey is what you see in Baltimore. People wear Lamar Jackson jerseys. So I still that to say though, like he's been the most special, special player in Baltimore. And all of a sudden, fans are on Lamar, we want him to get a Super Bowl. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait, Lamar might not be here long term, or he might be sitting out. And fans are doing this. They're scratching their head saying, what is happening? So I think it would be a big bloop on Baltimore especially let's remember, this is a Baltimore Ravens organization that really hasn't had a good quarterback when you think about it in their history. I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean,
that's this exciting. That's just exciting
because he's
like
gonna
much
he's
watch
gonna
TV.
stamp Joe Flacco. He's about to stamp Joe Flacco.
Look, I mean, Joe will always be loved, right? Because he got the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But Joe, he was Joe cool, but Joe had some help. You know, and Baltimore is more known for their defense over the years, right? I mean, that's why
Joe had help. Yeah.
Documentary. But I said that to say, I think Lamar has started to change things, and we have started talking more about offense, right, in Baltimore, and he has made the offense, cool. And obviously, think about guys that want to play, folks that want to come to Baltimore. They want to play with Lamar. I remember when Sean Jackson was thinking about coming back. Who did he say first? He said, I want to go play with Lamar.
Yeah.
That's what he said. So he brings people, to Baltimore. He makes it an attractive place, maybe for some receivers. Some receivers might be like, Lamar's not going to give me the ball.
Well, as long as Greg Roman was there.
Oh, don't do the Greg Roman era. Like, don't do that. But I said that to say, I think Lamar is just too, that's why I said, I think EDC. So I remember since I've lived in, the DMV, fire, Dan Snyder has been a hashtag.
Yeah.
Going to have a lot of bad hate coming towards him with this Lamar deal.
I'm going to be on the front of the line. I'm gonna be on front of the line.
I want put barbed wire around M&T Bank Stadium and around the castle just to be protected because I mean that's how much Lamar. I don't know if you guys seen the social media videos. They're hilarious.
Look, the city's gonna riot.
I mean they're gonna be pissed. Like Lamar really is so special.
The city gonna riot.
Organization, and I honestly think fans are too just mad at how Lamar has been treated. He's given so much for the game that he loves. In Baltimore, they feel like Baltimore. It's never like loving somebody and you don't feel the love back. And I feel like fans are witnessing this with Baltimore.
I agree.
What do you think about? Sorry, Maestro, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, you go.
So Kelsey, in regards to not having an agent, because I was one of the ones that looked at it and said, "Ooh, Lamar's trying to, do it his own way. You know, he negotiates his contracts or whatever. He can keep that money. He can keep it in the family." NFL chick kind of, and we had her on last year, and she kind of, and she kind of made a good point that it's not just that the agent can help with contracts, it's that he can help with endorsement deals as well. So like when you ride around the city of Baltimore and you're looking at billboards, you still seeing Justin Tuck promoting Royal Farms chicken and stuff like that.
Which is amazing. We got a kicker promoting Royal Farms chicken. That's special.
Sure. No, I get that. But Lamar needs, like I've been saying, like Lamar needs some kind of endorsement deal, right? Like we got one of the biggest athletic wear companies here in Under Armour. Yeah. And you can't tell me that they can't have a partnership
Steph Curry and stuff. Why don't we put Lamar with Steph Curry? No,
right.
I think you're saying such a good point. But to me, the agent thing goes even a deeper level. So for instance, I don't have an agent in my broadcast work. So I'm basically doing what Lamar does on a much smaller level, obviously. I wish I could Lamar money. But it's harder because, when you're a talent and you're negotiating for yourself, it is a bit harder.
Yeah.
But I say this to say, I think Lamar having an agent, though, and what an agent does, and this is not just in football, but an agent in general, they get you in the room. And you have to remember, the NFL is still a good old boys network, and certain people are let into that room.
Yeah.
So agent can get into rooms that you wouldn't probably even be considered in or invited in. At least they'll get somebody to sit down and at least talk about you.
Yeah.
At least have a conversation.
Yeah.
Right now, Lamar is like, it's like he's not even getting a conversation. Right. And so I hear you. I think the sponsorship piece is an important piece, but I think even again, on just the micro level, level, he's not getting in the rooms he needs to get in. And let's be honest, a lot of these, Lamar, obviously a talented athlete, but talking business, is a completely different.
Absolutely.
It's a completely different thing.
Absolutely.
Shaq had a great quote, where when he went back and got his business degree, he was talking about, he got tired of being in rooms where everybody was talking about him except for him. So basically he had all these people doing his stuff for him, but he wasn't even in the conversation. And it was things that obviously he should have been a part of. I think what Lamar is doing is commendable. But people have to remember the NFL is on a balancing scale, and there's checks and balances.
Yeah.
Agents have been a part of that scale, and they've been part of these deals.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, if Lamar were to get a contract done himself, what do you think other players are doing? They're watching Lamar and they're rooting for Lamar. Because what happens is if he does that, then other players are going to start to do that. And that chips and balances scale, it's going to be messed up, and it's going to mess up the system that's been in place for a long time in the NFL. And then think about it: if players see Lamar do it, then you start to get less sports agents in sports. That messes up their money. And one thing that folks don't want you to do is touching their
money.
Absolutely.
He needs Nicole Lynn.
Okay, so now we cooking. Now we cooking. So I'm just going to put the word out there based on what you just said.
All right.
Collusion.
And that's if it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck,
it's a damn duck.
Yeah.
Right?
It ain't no damn mongoose, is what Stephen A.
And that's
said.
what people are gonna. In the NFL, of course, you can't say it fully because you don't.
Sure.
Know. But that's why I always point back. The last time we really saw something like this was Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reid.
Right.
And all of a sudden nobody wants to sign them. And I remember watching Colin Kaepernick play his butt off in the Super Bowl, and you guys are telling me that this guy can't go anywhere. But let's again remember, like, so much of sports is networking, right? And it's knowing these people again. And some of these relationships have been established for a long time. And it's kind of like what we're seeing with Lamar now. What owner, when everybody else is saying no, they don't want to do it, what owner will be brave enough to kind of break that checks and balances again that I talked about and say, you know what, we're going to give Lamar that guarantee because they're still mad about what the Browns did. Kind of like you let the one child get away and do something, but you're going to make sure the rest of the kids don't mess up and do the same thing.
I think there's another bad child somewhere.
So right.
I think there's another bad child someplace. He might be in New York if this Aaron Rodgers thing falls through the cracks. I'm just saying.
But let me tell you this. I think New York is interesting because I think you have to look at the owner. I don't think Lamar Jackson is a Woody Johnson type of quarterback.
I agree.
I just don't think that. And I think you have to, again, the owner has to want you there. It's kind of like a job, right? Yeah. I mean, they have to want you there. And that's not saying anything against Lamar, but it's kind of like why we can see Cam Newton do all the pro days he wants. But what owner, would want Cam Newton back, in that building?
Yeah.
And I think that always has to mesh. So I think, honestly, if it doesn't go right with Aaron Rodgers, I know Jets fans would like to see Lamar, but I just don't see that happening. And the teams that we thought, he would be good in, they're the teams that are saying, you know what? No, we're good. Lamar Jackson. So going back to that C word that we keep talking about, something's fishy because he fits all the criteria.
Absolutely.
Back to that. Yeah. But they're saying, no, we don't want you. So wait a minute. I passed all the tests. And that's why I think it's going to be such a messy situation for Lamar. And this going back to an agent, this is where an agent can kind of help you because they kind of clean up the mess, right? They do it all for you. You don't hear about it. You just hear about that final contract and that number that you want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but Lamar's hearing all this messiness that we usually don't hear. And he's hearing it because it's out in public now. And because he has no agent, it's just out there. And now he's trying to figure out the pieces. But again, what do you do now when that relationship is kind of severed? And what owner would want to tell Lamar in his face,
right.
we don't want to give you this money again because he's trying to do it. It doesn't work like that because most of the time, most people aren't going to tell you what they think of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? Like, come on, you have one owner, telling you that. And I think that's why this situation is just so messy. But again, if he were to get it done, it would be unprecedented. It would be unprecedented, having a quarterback get the highest guaranteed contract and doing it himself.
And then here's the other piece why I'm going to riot if it don't get done. Because in my mental mind, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert coming up next year.
Oh, Joe Burrow is
and you right. So for me, it's like, all right, now I don't want him to get. For selfish Pittsburgh Steelers reasons, obviously, I hope he goes to another team. But let's say he, decides, what, I'll play on the franchise tag, or for whatever. There is no reason why I'm gonna be okay with Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert resetting the market when Lamar Jackson was right there the whole time.
And keep in mind, Kelsey, keep in mind.
I see that coming.
And keep in mind, too, the Bengals historically have been known to be penny pinchers, right?
Oh, yeah. Even from their facility aspect.
Right. So if somehow, some way, the Bengals come out and say, we're going to give Joe Burrow $400 million, $350 million guaranteed over 5 years.
Well, geez.
I might,
God,
bro.
Hold on, God. You jumped $115 more from the China.
I don't know what I'd do with my fandom, bro. If the Bengals end up spending that money and we couldn't pay Lamar,
that's the issue. But I see that happening. I think that's why, and I think Lamar honestly sees that. I think that's what Lamar's like, give me my money now.
Right.
And then it's going to be even harder, to your guys' point, if they can pay, then I'm going to want more than them too. And I'm already having a hard time getting more than what Deshaun Watson is getting. And, I know people don't like to talk about this, but quarterbacks are viewed and looked at differently. And Lamar, especially for him, that's why I'm very careful with my words with Lamar. I don't call him just a running quarterback. The man, he has an arm. He's shown that to you all. And you guys still call him the man.
Pro-style offense in college,
the same thing. And then also going back to your sponsorship point, I think even more for Lamar, let's be honest, like folks will throw Joe Burrow, in a sponsorship ad like yesterday. I mean, Joe Burrow's kind of that all-American guy. You know, he's been that for a long, and he happens to be great at football, right?
And he wore a cool jacket walking into the
he had the
cigar.
Yeah. Guy. Now, Lamar has the shades and stuff, but I think Lamar, from a sponsorship aspect, you know, I think companies are still just learning. Like for me, it's so cool seeing Dawn Staley now in these Geico commercials, you know, with Nick Saban.
Yeah.
I mean, we lived in a world where I didn't know if I could see. I mean, that's huge, but she's really had to prove herself and pave her way to get that, you know, opportunity. I think Lamar's kind of in that, obviously kind of that same boat. But all that to say, I think Lamar, again, what you guys said, who's getting paid next season, and he knows it. He's probably trying to figure out, well, I'm not going to wait for them to get paid. I've been here. I've been doing what I need to do already. But it's just hard for him, again, because the owners aren't moving. They're not needle on wanting to give him that guaranteed money, but he's also not moving on wanting to get an agent. So when you have folks who both want to be stubborn, you know, what do you do to get them to come?
Right.
Well, I think it's the ultimate theory of culture versus business, and for me, and my mentor, I would love culture to win, but I would understand why business is winning as of right now. And it's just going to be like, but I don't understand. And I guess it's why businesses are rich and culture is the kind of slept on thing, even though I value it more. Because they're going to sit here and act like Baltimore ain't flooded with number 8 jerseys in Baltimore. Like, you know, all the stories, all the Kodak come in and receivers, all these things culturally that been brought to Baltimore because of that. They're going to act like, I mean, and not even talking about on the field, just culture.
No, you're right.
In a black city, at that.
So
let's be honest. So Baltimore is a black city, right?
Right.
And then, I mean, think about who's even tweeted about Lamar. I mean, LeBron James loves watching this man. Remember who Tom Brady said you're next to?
You're next, It
was Lamar Jackson.
Right.
I mean, Lamar has even, I think, changed the culture from that. I mean, when you get the GOAT to respect you and Tom Brady, you know you've done. He hands you the baton willingly.
Yeah.
That's special. But like you said, I think, I mean, he's so much more than football. I mean, Lamar is he's just that guy. Like, I'm probably hating on Lamar because he just got it all. I mean, the man can play football. He's, you know, he never gets in trouble. I mean, he's literally the quarterback, right? That you like dream up and create. But yet Baltimore, and I think, again, that's probably why he's hurt. Like Baltimore, though, is not showing you any type of love for you being a great player on and off the football field. So I think for Lamar Jackson, like you said, I mean, he's definitely changed culture. I mean, Lamar,
all the way down to your
he made us love his play, you know.
Yeah, to your piss poor attempts of getting the number 1 receiver, like all the way down to that. Like it's I don't know. I mean,
to that point, Maestro, I just wanted to say, because Kelsey mentioned something about them being one of the, you know, class organizations over the years and stuff. A part of me to this day kind of, to me, feels like they're living off a past reputation, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, you're doing certain things, like you spend more money on the defense than you do offensively, things like that.
Roquan Smith, right?
Right, Roquan Smith, and by the way, he didn't have an agent. Not that they're comparable situations.
And don't think Lamar didn't peep that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
He definitely peeped that. But I think this organization needs to tweak some of the things that they do from a business standpoint in terms of the direction that the league is going. Like, the league is basically telling you, like, you can throw the ball all over the lot. Like, they're basically telling you, like, y'all not going to play defense, and yet they're trying to, you know, zig while everybody else is trying to zag. It's like it's kind of like the Grizzlies in the NBA where everybody's shooting threes, and then you got Zebo and Gasol and them trying to pound it in the paint, you know. So I think the organization needs to look themselves in the mirror and understand, hey, this ain't 2000 no more. Like we can't build defenses up like we once did. Like I watched that 30 for 30 with Syracuse and those guys. And the way that they was hitting dudes, like the one game they played against Cincinnati. Corey Dillon didn't want to get back in the game. Like
it was a different breed of football,
right?
Yeah.
But you know, I think to that point, like you said, it's a different Baltimore team. I mean, I'm still hurt that Miami was able to come back on the Ravens like they did. You know, I mean, and that was living proof of what what this defense has become.
Absolutely.
The game is still living rent free in my head. Obviously, the offense was an issue too, because you got to be able to keep scoring.
Absolutely.
But this Baltimore defense, it's been hurt. Like, let's be honest. Like, I mean, they've had some good strides and good games. But this is the same Ravens defense, that you were, scared to play. You look at someone like Marlon Humphrey, who had great games, and had not so great games.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many guys you can look at. Who else am I forgetting? Marcus Peters. I was like,
Marcus Peters, yeah.
I mean, there's just so many people but I say that to say that's what I'm saying. I think Baltimore for a long time has been, as you said, living off that defensive legacy, that history. There's a reason why you walk past that Ray Lewis statue, right? When you're going into MTV Stadium. But Lamar has kind of helped to change that now, because now we are talking about the offense. Now we are talking about, getting the healthy Bateman, and getting Lamar.
Right.
And not having it all on Mark Andrews' back, right? To carry, load. Because, until Mark Andrews, I guess the last tight end that I think I really was beloved in Baltimore, Todd Heap.
Todd Heap was an animal.
You guys remember those days, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I think offensive players are getting more love. I mean, J.K. Dobbins. I mean, I think even pre-incident, Ray Rice, I remember just being beloved, in Baltimore. You guys remember, hey diddle diddle, Ray Rice up the middle. One of my favorite plays still, to this very day. But I think that's why Lamar is so special, though, because he helps to change that narrative. He helps to create, that narrative. What he was able to do, behind an offensive line that also had shifts, and changes. You look at where Orlando Brown is now, saying, I've had enough in Baltimore. Y'all ain't gonna have me keep playing two different positions. I want to one. Right. Or Stanley getting healthy. I say all this to say, though, Lamar has been the crucial glue piece that has held this team together. Guys love Lamar. They want to be. And I think when you come to Baltimore, you're coming because the guys, especially when Mark Ingram was here. I mean, Baltimore was the place everybody was jealous of. I mean, there was just like a brotherhood. And, it was a special team. I'm still hurt by that. Was it the Titans lost that year?
Yeah.
Very mad.
Yeah.
Very mad.
Number one seed. Yep.
Man, we're not gonna go back to that game because I'm still hurt by that. That was.
I went to that game too.
That was their Super Bowl year. It was their Super Bowl year. Just saying. But all this to say, like I said, Lamar. If Baltimore loses Lamar, this team is going to have to find a new identity. And that's one of my favorite questions to ask players. What is the identity of this team? Because
trash.
It means a lot. And if you don't have that, your team isn't going to be able, to win. I mean, the Eagles got to where they are, I think, because they literally, I think there was no expectation. We had saw the year before. Well, no, I reverse that, because on paper they look good, but it's one thing to look good on paper. It's another thing to actually play the game. You have a head coach that when he first started, had an interesting press conference. We're like, is this guy serious?
Yeah.
About to be an NFL, head coach, and then you get Jalen Hurts, who has been another guy that's been doubted, right? And a guy that's people didn't know if he would be able to pan out. Talk about quarterback size, also been criticized for that. They just had a special season and year, and I think it's because they, and they embrace the underdog mentality. That was their identity.
But more importantly for the Eagles, they gave up assets and they got AJ Brown when he was in his prime. It was so special. A weapon. Yeah. Right. And that's the thing I'm talking about when it comes to the Ravens. They care about all these draft picks, but then it's like, okay, there's more than one way to use your draft picks. You can trade for a guy in his prime.
Gotta be able to draft right.
Yeah.
I will say, though, for the Baltimore, a guy that I really liked is Isaiah Likely.
I like him too. Yeah.
I think he's going to continue to pan out. But I think to your point, you're so right. And that's why the draft is so important, because you have to draft those very important pieces. But to be fair, too, again, you also don't know how these guys are going to pan out, right? You're hoping. Yeah. You're just hoping, right, for the best, from these guys. But I think for Baltimore, like you said, I mean, so let's go back to Deshaun Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Need a weapon in Baltimore. So Deshaun is one of those anomaly guys, right? Where he's older, but he's still he's still fast. He's still faster than all of us.
He can blow by you. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, so you're like, okay, well, let's bring him back. I think Baltimore just kept getting, it wrong. What was the other one?
Rashad Perryman.
That was from the draft. I think you're talking about Sammy Watkins, though.
I'm just talking about talking about receivers
Watkins.
overall.
You bring him back, right? Okay. Bring Sammy Watkins back, and he's not able to produce at the level, right, that you want him to produce. So I think Baltimore, again, they just kept getting it wrong, right?
Yeah.
He's trying to,
they're in a clearance trap.
Essentially, but then you're still asking Lamar to, be Superman, essentially.
And he does it. Right. And he does it.
He does, but he's also human. That's why he got hurt. I mean, Superman, and it's just asking, a lot, I think, of this team. But, I think for me, Baltimore, again, without Lamar, they're going to have to find their identity. But if they keep Lamar too, they're going to have to sever this relation. Don't think, to just be, cherries and whipped cream, I guess, when he comes back, because he's hearing everything come out. He's seeing how long you guys are playing tug of war for his money.
Yes.
That's going to also have to be cleaned up, I think, if Baltimore really does want, especially because I think the Ravens are on to something. Like, take away injury last season. This is a different Ravens team. I mean, again, this is a Ravens team that literally, without a starting quarterback, almost beat the Bengals. But we had a play.
If they just gave the ball to J.K. Dobbins or Gus Edwards right there, we win the game.
That play still bothers me.
I laughed so hard. I sat on my couch. I was like, ooh, and I laughed as he ran all the way. I laughed.
I mean, he had the breathing mask on. After he made a man run that's not even used to running, and we let him do that. Like,
it was hilarious.
So Kelsey, so just to put a bow on the Lamar conversation.
Yeah.
I still have hope that they're going to work this thing out. I mean, we saw Deebo Samuel, and I get it's a different situation, but Deebo came out and was like, yo, y'all better pay me for everything that I do, catching, running the ball and stuff. But then Niners was like, okay, let's get this deal done. They got the deal done. In the end, I still think they find a way to work it out. They still get the deal done. From your opinion and from you as a fan of the team, what do you think happens when it's all said and done?
I do think, and I've said this, I think he has to end up back in Baltimore. Like, unfortunately, as great as my birthday is, I don't think we're going to get much new news by that date.
Yeah.
I think Baltimore just knows it's the right fit. So saying that to say, like, sometimes it's like, sometimes you don't know what you have until you go out there and see what else is out there. And I think Lamar, he saw some good situations, but those situations weren't showing him what he thought he was going to be seeing from them.
Yeah.
So all that to say, then, and that's why sometimes you got to go back home. You got to go back home where at least you know what to expect. And so I think he ends up back in Baltimore. But then the problem with Baltimore, and I think this is why it's tricky. So you brought up Deebo, but the quarterback position is so special and so prominent. Like that's a position you have to have, right? Like. And if you watch the Ravens, you see how special the relationship has been between Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh, for good or bad. Yeah. Like, for me, when they go for it on fourth down and I see Lamar look at coach and I see coach, give him that sign of trust, I'm like, coach, what are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah. But it's because he has a trust in Lamar, and that's a trust. And, he's like good or bad. Like, he's like, if Lamar gets it, good, our offense keeps going. And then he has a trust in the defense enough to know, and they have a trust in Lamar enough to know, okay, if you don't get it, are we going to ride for Lamar? Are we going to make this right? We're going to get in the game, get the ball back. So I say all that to say, like, it's been so, but now again, this is all severed. So, I mean, you have to make it right if you want him to go back on the football field and give his all for this team. And, everyone's asking me, like, do you think Lamar's going to say? I think Lamar loves football. I think he loves football. I think he loves the game. I think he loves this team. I think Lamar does want the money, but there's a reason why before the season, Lamar gave them a deadline to get this contract done.
Yeah.
After that, I'm just going to focus on football. That's what
Yeah.
I give you this date, and then I'm gonna focus on football. Y'all didn't get it done by the date. What did he do? He focused on football.
Right.
So I think Lamar will. I don't have an issue. I don't think there's gonna be an issue with Lamar. Having an issue with football, but he does want his money. And I think he's just trying to find out, again, whatever he can do. But all that to say, Ravens fans, even if he is back again, this is gonna have to be fixed. Like it's kind of like welcoming somebody back that's unhappy to a home. If you can't make it, like. Mm-hmm. It's not the same. It's just not the same. You have to, they have to want to be there.
Yeah. Ex Kevin Durant.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a perfect example and perfect parallel, right? Like, Brooklyn tried it and
didn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah, I would hate that he would have to play for the was it 27, 28 million?
No, $32 million.
32? Okay.
32.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would hate that he would have to play for that when he's worth so much more.
Yeah, but also remember, this would still be the most that he's made in his career.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, but
that is a point.
And you got to think about how much money he's lost up to this point too. So there's that decision to say, hey, do I play on this tag and get the $32 million? At least I have some money, and then we kind of go back to the table, and then we try to work something out. Yeah,
money versus principles.
Hey, that's true.
That's a tough one. And I wouldn't judge him either way. By the way. But because I ain't never had to deal with 32. I ain't had to deal with 100,000. I'm just look. That's a tough. I don't know, man.
But going back to that, I mean, think about how much less even the non-exclusive tag was, right?
Yeah.
The tag. I mean, that was less money, right?
Right.
So think about it. So you could even look at that maybe as a disrespectful thing, right? Like, you could have gave me at least a higher one. Because this is millions of dollars difference. This wasn't
Yeah,
different.
they.
So it's a I think this is a reminder to folks that football is a business. I mean,
Yeah.
Lamar is reminding folks that this is a business. It's the Jay-Z quote. Lamar's trying to be a businessman in business, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
Right.
that's
What
right.
essentially is happening. So all we can say is we'll see it. We'll see what pans out. But I've still, again, never seen teams till this day, go out on a quarterback like they are Lamar Jackson publicly. I mean, when have we seen this? Like, they're not even doing this to Cam Newton. Maybe not seriously, but I mean, they're literally like, don't want Lamar.
Be good.
It's unprecedented. Yeah. It's unprecedented. Yeah. Everything about it, even from not having an agent to, the back and forth, everything about it just is unprecedented, and it's new territory.
Yeah.
How you feel about the Terps? They just lost to South Carolina. The women just lost to South Carolina.
I was sad about my Lady Terps. Obviously went to Maryland, proud Maryland graduate, often back at University of Maryland. Actually worked for the women's basketball team somewhere.
Okay.
Nice.
All that to say, it was hurtful, but I'm still proud. Like, I feel like Maryland gained so much respect. Let's remember, Brenda Freeze had to rebuild this program. 9 new players. You lose 4 of your top 5 scorers. Right, you have all these new faces. You're an underdog. Nobody's expecting anything, and you get your team to the Elite 8. Yeah. That is special in itself. They played South Carolina hard, especially that first quarter. I was so proud of the Lady Terps. There's some questionable reffing a bit because I thought a lot of the fouls. When the fouls changed the game. Yeah, Brenda had to change her personnel in the game. But honestly, I think most folks in Maryland are proud of this team. You played a very good South Carolina team.
Yeah, absolutely.
You made them shiver. A little. Yeah. So I think all in all, Maryland women were great. I think the men have something to build on. I will tell you though, Maryland men, I knew once Maryland played Alabama, I knew Alabama wasn't going to win it, because if Maryland was able to knock down shots in that game against Alabama, that would have been a completely different game. I mean, Maryland couldn't buy a shot. They couldn't buy a layup. It was had how many shots they were missing even from the foul line. So I think on both sides. And Kevin Willard, what he was able to do in his first year,
absolutely,
coaches are getting it done. At the University of Maryland, he was able to get local guys back into that program. Obviously, able to get them to that point. In the tournament. So Maryland basketball is back, folks. I think there's something strong to build off of. So overall, I'm continuing to be proud to be a Terp in our basketball.
Okay. Yeah. Shout out to University of Maryland. I'm a UMBC alum. But I know it's not the same thing, but it's still all University of Maryland, the same system.
There we go.
But
we're cousins.
but I agree with you as far as the Terps and the Lady Terps historically, or at least over the last few years, have sort of been like the better team than the men's basketball team.
Women are ballers.
Yeah, for real. Like, they've been making runs to Sweet 16s, Elite 8s.
That's
the past
standard.
few years.
I mean, Brenda Freeze has made that the standard. Like, you come to Maryland basketball because you know that, right? You want to play for that. And I think that's so special. But to your point, I think the women have been able to do that. But I think now it's been exciting to get the men back to that point, because I think Maryland men's basketball, it just hasn't been the same. And
since Lonnie Baxter and Juan Dixon.
You're going back.
Man.
You're going back.
Yeah.
And I remember, when I was at Maryland, who was at Maryland? We had Jake Layman was there.
Yep, I remember Layman.
Wells. I remember watching Mello Trimble.
Mello Trimble.
Guys that have made good runs. But it's still not been to the level because Maryland's a basketball school. I mean, we're trying to get more into this football program. Shout out to Mike Lockheed, loving our bowl win, something to be proud of. But Maryland's a basketball school,
Right.
True, remember the Grievous Vasquez's, and to your point, even though I gotta say so quickly, it hurts me now when I say Juan Dixon. Folks know him now as more of a reality TV star. I'm like, are you in Maryland? Like, this is what you guys say?
Wait, so hold up. I got a question because he got let go by what's the name? Coppin State, right? So I saw somewhere. So his wife is on Real Housewives of Potomac. Is that right?
Yes, and I don't watch the show, but I know she's on there.
Oh man! Now,
wow.
And then he's on there, obviously, some too because of that.
Right. And then he getting some nasty allegations. I won't speak on it because I don't know everything. But
he can't buy good PR right now. The Coppin situation was messy, and then the show situation was messy. So all in all, Juan Dixon, I don't know.
Yeah. Isn't a former mayor in Baltimore his aunt, Sheila Dixon?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Good parallel. Did not know that. Wow.
Really? Yeah. That's his aunt. and stuff.
Very
so.
interesting, but better days, Juan. That we remember you for the glory days, and
Yeah.
I guess I'll just say this storm too shall pass. You know?
Even your little stint with the Wizards, we remember, man. You remember, man.
It counted, and look, the Wizards probably could use them right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, that's now you twisting the knife a little bit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, twisting the knife a little bit.
It ain't working out in the Cap Center, but yeah. Kelsey, I got 2 more questions for you. So I guess we're on the conversation of the Terps, and I want to know from you, University of Maryland alum.
Yes, hashtag she a Terp.
No doubt. Your top 5 Maryland athletes. Your list now.
Ooh.
Now I'm gonna put a disclaimer here and let you know that every time we ask our guests about these, top 5s, we get calls after the show, we get text messages, and people are like, "Yo, what the hell list was that? Like, you left out so and so, like,
Oh man,
yeah, like screw y'all."
They don't even have to call y'all. At my Twitter handle is the real K Nelson. Y'all can bring it up.
Yep.
I have no problem defending myself. I've been doing that my whole life.
There you go.
I mean, obviously, you got to start with limb bias.
Yeah.
I think any Maryland list, and it sucks that we'll just never fully know. But
I know.
From what we saw, it was greatness. I mean, it was greatness, like literally pure greatness.
Yeah.
I have to start with him. I know this one might get me some flack, but because he was kind of my era, and I grew up like watching him, Grievous Vasquez, I'm gonna have to put on my list.
Yep.
Again, and this is probably because I grew up watching him.
That's fine. That's fine.
Games.
He went to Montrose too, right?
Did he?
I thought he went to Montrose.
He might have. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I think you have to put Grievous on there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if I should go old school or go new. Like, I love Christy Tolliver.
I know the person who gonna cuss me out would prefer you to go old school, but no pressure.
See, that's the thing about these lists. Like, it's you could go old school, new school.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I put Grievous on there. I had him on my show, and I love talking to him. I love Walt Williams.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah. The Wizard.
What is that? I have 3.
3.
All right. I gotta put a lady. I'm trying to think. Should I put Christy or Christy Tolliver, Christy Winter Scott?
I was gonna say Christy Winter Scott stayed in the area too after that. Like
that's what I was thinking about. She's done TV here. Like I know so many accolades, but Christy Tolliver's still balling. It's like that's a hard one. I don't know if I want to make them 4 or 5, but I feel like I do like having 2 ladies on my list.
Okay.
I hope people that come on the show put ladies on their list too.
Yeah. Put
Len
him on
Elmore, though, I want to put him on there.
Len Elmore, yeah, I like that.
Can I put Christy and Christy together? Can I do a slash?
I'll let you have that. You can have a slash.
A 4A, 4B kind of a deal. Yeah.
And then is that my 5? I feel like that, but you know what? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I left off a football guy. Because Diggs is from my area.
Yeah.
Diggs is from my area. I don't know if I can leave off Stephon Diggs. Yeah. When I was at Maryland, I was at the tail end of the Torrey Smith era too. I'm not gonna put Torrey on, but Stephon Diggs, I think for what he was able to do at Maryland and then how he paralleled that into the NFL. It just needs to be respected. Because I think he really helped to put respect on Maryland football. And shout out to DJ Moore, y'all.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Look, Kelsey, I don't like your list. I don't like your list. How could you leave out Stevie the franchise?
So let me tell you, because this goes back to my Moco ties.
My man Wink.
He's like my 6. I was thinking about him, and I loved watching him. I think he's like my 6 because he's a Moco guy.
Yeah, that's my man Wink. I used to see him all the time in Silver Spring balling.
That's why I hate this list though. I need like a top 10 because there's so many. I don't think people realize. I think that's why I'm so like Maryland has so many great athletes. And Stevie franchise definitely a top one.
Yeah, man.
I have him at my 6. Steve, don't hate me. And matter of fact,
Maserati. Shout out Maserati music. Come on, Steve Francis. Come on.
And he was a great. I mean, those were the glory days.
He was here,
yeah.
Of Maryland basketball. I remember it was Comcast Center, and I mean, these guys were incredible. I mean, Maryland basketball. If you grew up in this area, and I don't know how you could not like basketball, during that era. So I think that's my top.
Okay,
They can call it trash. I think my list was pretty solid.
Hey,
Look,
what's
people have a
important is it's
problem,
your
they can't-
list.
That's your list.
It's your
What
list.
about Steve Blake? Would you guys put Steve Blake on the list?
I like Steve Blake.
I wouldn't put him in my top 5. I wouldn't put
like
him in my
Steve
top
Blake,
5.
but I don't know if I would
Top
put him
10?
there.
Top 10?
Absolutely.
I would put him top 10.
Absolutely top 10.
I'll put him top 10.
Along with Juan Dixon would be in top 10. I don't know if
I
I'll
only
put him
moved
5.
Juan though just because the messiness. Now.
Yeah,
That's the
it's a
reason
little
moved
messy. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I
I'm
agree
not
with
going
you.
to say like I
Hey.
need to know everything, but the cop and that was just messy.
Hey,
Again, don't
you
pull
got
me
him the
up.
chip though.
He did get the chip though. Like
Yeah.
it was special. It was special. And you know, Juan
Chris Wilcox was
Chris,
yeah.
Josh Holden has been on my show. He was part of that championship team.
Yeah.
There's so many great people that, you know, were and that I mean that's what we went back for Maryland, right? Going back to this men's team. I mean, we need another championship at Maryland. We need to raise another banner and get Maryland, you know, back to that level.
Absolutely.
Hopefully
Yeah.
Kevin Willard is the guy.
Can I throw in 2 honorable mentions who may not be as big, just people I knew?
All right, let me know.
I went to high school with Randy Starks, who
Okay.
played in Maryland.
Yeah.
And also Brene Mosley, who was the backup point guard. It's been a while now. I'm old too. It's been a while, but I know Brene Mosley. Or I knew Brene Mosley from middle school.
Yeah.
So I was around when she used to play at a whatever the middle school she played for.
Yeah.
So Brene Mosley and Randy Starks are people that I have spoken to and had conversations with. Those are my honorable mentions, just because I knew.
Like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I have no badness with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, Gravis did go to Montrose. Just to fact check
Yeah.
that. He did go there. But we talking about championships and stuff. So Kelsey, my last question for you, and it's a trick question. So 2018, the Caps win the Cup. 2019, the Nationals, they win the pennant. They win the World Series. 2019, the girls, the Washington Mystics, they bring home the championship. And
We
this
still need
was
their parade, their proper parade.
right. So you had 3 championships in one city over a 2-year span.
Yeah.
In your opinion, which championship means more of the 3?
So on this question, there's a reason why on my Twitter it says District of Champions, and it's referring to what you're talking to. It was a special time in this city. I think it depends on honestly who I'm talking to. Like Caps fandom here, I don't know if people have been to a Capitals game. I mean, it's different. Like sold out, you hear the bells ringing in your ear, you're freezing your tail off, but you're having fun. Like Caps, I think that was so special. See, for me, because I played basketball, you know, the Mystics one rings just so true for how special that was. But I also know, you know, women's basketball is growing in this area. It needs to get more love because so many talented female athletes come from this area.
Yeah.
And then the Nats, you know, I think that was special too. Just, you know, remembering when the Nats, you know, first came here, you know, and building up. Though I wish we would have got Dusty. I wish we would have got Dusty Baker.
Right.
That's a hard question. Like I said, it depends on probably who I'm talking to. For me personally, it would be the Mystics. But again, that's because I grew up playing basketball. I love basketball. And know what those men have to go through, you know, for a chance.
So here's why I say it's a trick question, because every time I drive through PG, DC, wherever, and I turn on the radio, when I turn on sports talk, it's always Commanders talk, Washington football team talk.
Sure.
It's a football city, football town, and all that stuff. And so, you know, after the Caps won the title and stuff, and I think me and you, Maestro, we kind of had this conversation, like it's still a football town, even though the Caps have been the more successful franchise over the last few years. But
I still say I could agree with you, but I think it also depends who you talk to. Like DC natives, they're football fans, right?
Yeah.
But I think some of these newcomers into the city might have, you know, better ties to the Caps or even right because they've been winning more recently. But you know, I mean, let's remember this Commanders team is a storied franchise, has a storied history. A lot of folks that have been here for the team remember the glory days, right, of this team. They remember the RFK days, you know, of this team. So you can see why, you know, and that's why football will, you know, I think remain king. I think basketball is just different now, you know, because we have to go back to the Bullets days, right, for Wizards franchise great. And you have a whole generation that can't fully connect, right, to that Bullets franchise.
Absolutely, right.
You know? And then for us, even for the Wizards, right, we kind of have to go back. That's why we're honoring the big 3, right? That's why Antoine Jameson just came back, right? Caron Butler, Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah, I love that team.
And we want. Oh, I did too. I did too.
I love that team.
Gilbert Arenas was my favorite player at that time. Yeah.
Agent Zero. I mean,
Yeah.
those were fun times. I mean, Wizards games used to be the place to be.
Yeah.
But, I think it's just hard. It's just hard. But I think, again, it's just, we love our football here, right, in DC, to your point. But I think, I remember, though, the Nats parade was huge, right?
Yeah.
That was huge. So
it's the Nationals for me.
I was out there.
It's definitely the Nationals for me. Even though they didn't win at home, I remember
that made it even more special. I thought,
because we was out. Me and my cousin was drunk and outside that night. We was drunk and we was watching it at the Buffalo Wild Wings. That's right, right across,
right by the stadium,
right? Yeah. And I still got the video because I thought my cousin was gonna cry. He was so happy. Like we went out and we stormed and we did some things that maybe we shouldn't have been doing, but we turned up. And for me, just because my cousin don't get a lot, that go his way. So when that happened for him, that was
special.
Yeah.
And
so it's definitely
such a special sports town. I know obviously we have politics here. It's probably the first thing people think about when they think about DC. But the sports scene is what's kept me here. And it has blessed me, right, to be.
And the brunch.
Sundays, folks. We don't brunch. We're happy hours for that matter, right? It's serious business, to that. And I think that's what makes DC so special. And now we just need some of our other teams to catch up on these championships. But through and through, it's a sports town. We love sports. So many great athletes have come, from here. For instance, tomorrow on my show, I have Kermit Washington, coming. So you remember Kermit. If you're from DC, you remember him being a native. And shoot, if you went to American University, you remember him putting AU basketball on the map. So, that's what I think makes it so special, right? Wherever KD lands, we still rep him. We still love him here.
Absolutely.
He always come home.
He still went to Goodman and went crazy a little while back. I remember.
Yes. And I think that's what makes DC so special. And, and I think we really adopt our players, right? Like, think about hockey, Alex Ovechkin, I think, I could ask about a top 5 DC sports athletes list. And I think he's definitely, at the top of that list. I mean,
absolutely.
No question.
Changed the game, and changed DC. I think even hockey culture, for the better. And I think we love our athletes in DC. We love them hard,
John Wall still could come here as a Clipper talking about this is my house and nobody was mad.
At that game and everybody loved it. I mean, everybody was so excited to see John Wall's homecoming. John Wall was so special. And like you said, I mean, we'll never forget him bringing out the Dougie, right, in DC. Hopping on that scorer's table. I mean, John Wall was just synonymous with DC. He loved this town. I think that's why for so many of us, we hated how everything went down.
Yeah.
Because, John Wall was, after Gilbert, I'd say he's probably was the next one that was below.
Absolutely.
Right.
And even now, I don't think there's any player on the team right now that's, as loved as, John.
No.
So,
yeah. Which is why he could come and say that and nobody be mad.
Right. And he was chilling at 14th and Park. So,
he would go to Park. He would go to Barcode. Like you would see John Wall
all the time. All the time.
Or no, it was Rose Bar.
Rose Bar. That
he would always be at. But again, I think that's what made it special. Like, I mean, he really did love this.
He was outside.
He was outside. Maybe too much at times, but he was outside.
But we ain't mad at that. Not in DC. We love that.
Yeah. So I think it's the Caps. So Kelsey, you said Mystics. Maestro said Nationals.
My personal says Mystics, but I think just from the hockey fan stance, I get why you said Caps.
Yeah.
So
the Mystics to do it in their new arena. Like, come on, folks, we gotta give the Mystics some love. Like these ladies, they did it.
Right.
And
yeah, absolutely. And I'm not even a Caps fan. I'm a New Yorker, so you see the Carmelo jersey behind me there.
But Carmelo also calls this Baltimore, but he also calls this area home.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. So
Yeah.
For me, it's the Caps for me because they're the team that broke the streak. They broke the 20-year streak of not getting a championship. Well, not getting to a conference final round for all the 4 teams, and then they broke a 26-year championship drought because Redskins was 91, something like that. Yeah. So that team, I watched game 7 against Pittsburgh, and the moment that he hit the overtime goal in that second round, I think I text Maestro and was like, "Yo, they broke the streak, yo." and Maestro was like, "Yo, it's time for a chip." And the rest of that way, they got to the final and they won it. Yep.
Yeah.
Talking about streaks being broken, shout out to Howard University men's basketball.
Absolutely.
Yep. Salute.
Absolutely.
Very proud. Very proud.
And shout out to Cool Kai for them sneakers.
Wait, I want some sneakers. Like, wait, what I missed?
No, the Cool Kai is that's the guy who's getting sued by Nike, but he made a Howard University pair of shoes that the coach wore in the media. Yeah, oh man, but them Kais they fire. I love them.
Oh wow, I gotta get this.
Shout out to Cool Kai though.
Kelsey, thank you for giving us your time. Because I know you're busy and everything, and the fact that we had you for about an hour is truly appreciated on this platform.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Let everybody know where they can find you at on social media and the things that you got coming up.
Yeah, well, thank you again so much for having me, fellas. Always a blast, and especially love DMV shows because DMV is always home, and I don't care. I'm impartial to it. I absolutely love the DMV. But you can follow me on social media, The Real K Nelson. Check out my website, KelseyNicoleNelson.com. I actually have a lot of great stuff coming up, which I'm super excited about. A lot of big announcements, so also stay tuned for that. But I'll be bringing you guys lots more football coverage, of course. NBA, we're about to get to that special time of year, folks. We're about to talk about the postseason. Some of your teams will be in it, some of your teams will not.
Not mine.
May the luck, be with you. And then, as you guys said, MLB Bro, I'm so excited. So I've done baseball coverage for never full seasons. This was my first full season of baseball coverage. I'm also super excited to get into. So lots more on the plate to come. But yeah, follow me and you'll be seeing lots more. And also if you're in the DMV area, I got a lot more hosting gigs coming up as well too. So hope to see some of you folks at some events around town.
All right.
I could dig
it.
it.
Look, again, we appreciate you. We see you online. And because you in the DMV, you will definitely see us in the streets.
I love it. Like we outside now. It's getting warmer.
Yes,
that's what's up.
Right.
That's
be safe, boy.
All right.
Thanks,
salute to the great Kelsey Nicole Nelson, Bally Sports. She's doing all kinds of things, man. She's just running all over the place there. Look, Maestro, if you got nothing else, man, I'm ready to kind of get up on out of here.
You don't want to talk about that. You don't want to talk about nothing, huh? That's what's up.
Yeah, I'm good.
Nah, it's all good. No problem, man.
I'm good, man. I got.
We gonna talk about KD though.
You want to talk about KD?
No, we're doing next week.
All right.
We're doing next week.
Nah, that's what's up. A special thanks to everybody in the Facebook live chat, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're watching us. Shout out to everybody listening to us on this platform as well. Don't forget, y'all can follow us on our social media platforms, on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast, also on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2. You can find us on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We got the Facebook page popping as well. Click the like button. If you got questions or comments you want to, get up on the show, hit us up on the email at barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com. And hit us with a review also if you're listening on iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, whatever the streaming platform is. Write us a review. Let us know what you think about the show. We really appreciate it. And again, special thanks to Kelsey for popping in.
Thank you. I appreciate you fellas. But no, this was the Barbershop and Beauty Salon. I just got my hair done. So this was the Barbershop and Beauty Salon.
All day.
We're the half Barbershop, half Beauty Salon tonight.
No, it's always one on the other side. It's always one on the other side.
The unisex joint. No doubt. All right, Kelsey, again, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Have a great night.
All right.
Maestro.
Yes, sir, my guy.
Salute to you, my brother.
Yes, sir.
We'll be back next week with another dope episode. Love, peace, and happiness to everybody out there. And remember, mind your own business.
And drink some damn water.
There you go.